seat. I think all of you are familiar with Alan Wan, but I will introduce him anyway. He is the Development Director of GNPI. And let's see. There we go. And he's going to present to us.
Yep. Jason? All right, good morning, everyone. It's always a privilege for me to come back to this congregation. This time I brought my lovely wife, Jenny, with me. Bill just reminded me this morning, so last time when you were here, Jenny was not with you. I think you were getting ready to get married, and that was correct. So I have been to this church, this is my third time. So because we have had a wonderful partnership between GNPI and this church. And one of the things I want to say at the very beginning is I have always been impressed by the leadership of this church. Your leaders are phenomenal, wonderful. Give you just one story from last visit I had at this church. After Sunday service, and we went out to eat at the Cornerstone Inn, of course. And Zach had just asked me before I left. He said, "Hey, can I gas up your car?" I have traveled to a lot of churches. I mean, I have been with the ministry for 7 years and been traveled a lot to visit different churches. But Zach was the second person who ever asked me that question. That stayed with me. Just the love and caring nature of your leaders of this church has always impressed me. And, like I said, it's a privilege for Jane and I to be with you this morning. And for the next 30 minutes, I want to give you an update about GNPI. I know last night we were visiting with Walt and Martha, and they were telling us there are actually some new folks joined the church since the COVID. And I just want to, some of you probably have never heard about GNPI, doesn't know what GNPI is all about. So this morning, I just want to, tell you guys again what GNPI is all about, what your partnership is accomplishing around the world through GNPI. GNPI stands for Good News Productions International. Good News Productions International. And all we do capitalize in those two phrases: creating media, sharing Jesus. And I want to break that down a little bit. Like, how did you guys find out this media thing? Like, how do you know you want to use media to share the gospel? And I want to start with our founders, Zaid and Helen Nutt. Before they went to the mission field, they never thought about using media and technology. They never thought that will be a thing to share the gospel. But they went to the country of Zimbabwe back in the 60s, just want to obey the Great Commission. They just want to go and make disciples of all nations. And God led them to the country of Zimbabwe. They started building a hospital there to help people with their physical needs. Along the way, they were starting sharing the gospel with the people there who have never heard about Jesus Christ. But along the way, they started showing film strips. How many of you remember film strips? Yeah. Film strips produced in the USA and in Europe, talking about Jesus with the people in Zimbabwe. People loved it. People loved the technology. People, like a group of this, will come together to watch what Miss Zaiden had to show on the film strips. From the entertainment element, people came to watch. People didn't get the message. The message didn't connect. Number one, because all the videos they showed, people in the videos are Americans or people from a different ethnicity than them. So in their mind, this is always in their mind. So this is for the U.S. This is for the West. Just no matter what message you are portraying, when you see someone look different than you, you know, oh, this is a foreign movie, right? How many of you have seen a foreign movie? Yeah, a lot of you have seen a foreign movie. Yeah, so from a number one, this is the first impression, they knew the media was not for them. But they kept watching because they never knew anything else. They have never seen a moving picture until then. And Zayden realized that the message was not connecting, so he stopped showing the videos. And because people have been asking questions like, well, why American guys are so cowardly? Like, the audience were asking type of questions like that because the message was not connecting to the audience. And Zayden said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by you're saying American man are so cowardly? And he said, well, I noticed in the movie, the guys always open the door and let the ladies go in first to test out if the room is safe. And then it was, no, that's not what this means. And he said, yeah, you know, in this culture, in our culture, I will open the door to walk in first to check out the room if the room is safe. If there's the mountain lion back there or a snake or a bad guy behind the door. So that's my job. I need to keep my ladies safe. I walk in first, then I usher them in. So Zayden was like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't realize that. It's a very noble thing in this culture, was super offensive in a different one. I'll give you one example from my own culture. Some of you might know a little bit about my story. I was born and raised up in China and came here for school in 2012 and stayed and started working for GNPI. From a Chinese culture perspective, I would never name my son after my dad because that was offensive. That was show disrespect to my dad. But in this culture, you do that. That's why we have Jason II, Jason III, Jason IV, because that shows honor. See, what's something perfectly fine here, it doesn't make sense to the people in a different culture. That's why the media we create, GNPI create, is all culturally relevant media. Culturally relevant media is one of the key foundations of GNPI. All the media we produce sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're not producing those funny cats videos and post on YouTube or Facebook. I'm always amazed that those videos can get about 2 million views. People just start watching them and start laughing. But the video we produce, it's all about Jesus. Why we use media? Why we use media? Number one, from this perspective, is media help us to remember the message better. Media help us to remember the message better. If I didn't have a presentation, I'm just talking to you, I might kept your attention for a little bit. You might, after my presentation, after 30 minutes, you might remember a joke or two I told. But you probably will forget the majority of the information I just downloaded to you, because you just went off your head. But when you see something, when you have a piece of paper on your hand, that will actually help you to remember. That's why a lot of us are actually note takers for sermons, because that helps us to remember the message better. But when you go to the next step, when you see something, a moving picture, when you hear the sound, also seeing the picture and the video, that help us to remember quite a lot more, the information. That's why we use media to share the gospel, to help people to remember the message better. Remember the message better. The second angle I want to tackle this is media is very relevant today. Media is very relevant today. So we have some young people in the audience. The most famous or most popular platform right now is called TikTok. People are on there all the time. And also we, as a ministry, we use social media like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to share the gospel. When we notice, it makes us huge difference because it's relevant. That's where people gather. That's why we broadcast our service. Some people may not in this room, but in a different state, they are able to watch or listen to Zach preach every Sunday. Media is relevant. Media is very relevant. Media is very effective. Because the technology, the internet, I can record this group and just send this video to my friend in Africa right away. You know, it's just very, very fast, effective. Also very efficient, very efficient. I will talk more about this give you some stories why it's very efficient and it reached everywhere. Last year, all the content GNPI teams produced reached every corner of the world besides the country of North Korea. That's why the media is so powerful. It's relevant, effective, also it's reaching everywhere. Yeah, that's why we use the media to share the gospel. This church has been supporting the ministry of GNPI for 14 years. For 14 years. Bill just reminded me actually that, you know, before Zayden started this ministry in the USA, he was making a presentation at Kentucky Christian University. So Bill remembered when this ministry, even just about to launch, 46 years ago. And, over the 46 years, the supporters like you, the supporters around this country have been building up this network of media producers, gospel-centered media producers around the world. And we have 26 teams right now around the world. So when you pray for GNPI, when you give a gift to GNPI, those are the people you're praying for. Those are the people that you actually support. I want you to remember their faces. I know a lot of people say, oh, when we think about GNPI, we think about Alan and Jenny. Great, awesome. We want you guys to remember us, to pray for us. But those are the people we have the privilege to represent everywhere we go. Manny leads our team in India. We have a big team in India. Sergey leads our team in Ukraine, and I will get into that later. Gustavo is the new leader for our team in Mexico because our leader in Mexico passed away last year. Nanette leads our team in the Philippines. Mike is the president of the whole network. We work at the same office in Joplin, Missouri. Wood leads our team in Thailand. And then Isaac is the leader in Uganda. Timothy is the leader of our team in Myanmar. And then Isaac is a great leader, leads our team in Kenya. So those are the people you are supporting. Those are the people you're praying for. I want you to remember their faces. And also I want to point out, they all look different than us. They all look different than us, than you. Because from day one, we know culturally relevant is the key. We want people in that culture to lead that team. We want people of that culture create media that makes sense, will connect to the audience in that culture. And that's why all the leaders are led by nationals, because nationals know the best. You guys know about Ohio way better than Jenny and I, because we're not from here. We're not here. We're not from here. So all those team members are from that culture. Ukraine. We do have a team of 10 in Ukraine. Right now, they're all scattered all around the country. God bless them because all of them are safe right now, and they're still able to use media to produce content, because right now, all the Ukrainians scattered all around the world are looking for content in Ukrainian. Some of them actually speak Russian. So our teams actually produce content in both languages, And they are just teaching the kids wherever they are. Maybe they're in Poland, maybe they're in UK, but they're still able to access to the things our center produce. One of the prayer requests I want to present to all of you is that pray for my colleagues' children. So a lot of my colleagues are over 60, so they were not drafted into the Army, but their kids are. 2 weeks ago, we had a call with our team in Ukraine, and all of them are in different locations, and a common theme for the prayer request from them is that, would you pray for our children? We don't know where they are. We know they're in the front line fighting. So just pray for them. So when you pray for the team of Ukraine, in Ukraine, of GNPI, pray for their kids as well. Myanmar made to the news a little bit, but we don't hear about this country anymore on the news, on the main news. But right now, there's a civil war going on. It has been going on for a while, actually. The military actually took control of the government, overthrown the leader they elected. My colleague Timothy just returned back from a trip to different villages to share the gospel. And let me describe a little bit about the trip he took. He wrote back to us. He said, I went to that city. I would not try to pronounce it because I couldn't. He said, I had to take a flight to fly to a major city, and then I will get on a bus for about 2 days, and then I will walk for 4 days to get to the villages. So he just returned back from a month-long trip, and the goal was simply to share the gospel with those villages. He just came back and thanked us for your prayers, for your support. And those type of the people are the people you are supporting, Timothy. India. India is a very religious country. They have tons of gods. People are very religious. But the leader of India wants to Hindunize the whole nation. If you have a different belief, that you go to a different country. If you're Buddhist, go to Pakistan. You go to Nepal. If you are Christians, go to the USA or go other places. So they are trying to Hindunize the whole nation. So that's why a lot of Christians are under a lot of persecution right now. The majority of that are from the government. Just to give you one example, lately, our team in India has entered a lot of false accusations. Some of you might know cows in India are sacred. They can roam around the street wherever they want to go, and people couldn't touch them, because they are gods. They were treated as sacred. One of the Indian guy actually decided to kill a cow and put it on my colleague Ajay's just a property that he owns, and falsely accused him to the government that, see what Christians are doing? Christians are killing cows. So they're under a lot of false accusations, and they have to go to courts to defend themselves. So the evil is doing a lot of damage in the country of India. But the good news I want to share today is every year on Easter and Christmas, our team has this unique opportunity to share Jesus with some content they make, and to feed to local TV stations or even some national TV stations. Again, because I said, India is a very religious country. So they're okay with Christians to celebrate Jesus on those two holidays. They knew that Easter and Christmas are important for us. So that, okay, you guys can share Jesus on those 2 days. And the TV stations actually asked our team to say, would you mind producing some materials about Jesus, and then we will broadcast it. We know it's a Christian holiday. Every year, this program on national TVs, on local TV stations, on YouTube, on Facebook, share Jesus with about 40 million people every year. We have those two unique opportunities. So as we celebrate Easter this week, would you pray for those people in India? Some of them watch this video are Christians just like us at their home. Some of them have never heard about Jesus. They're just curious because, hey, we are religious. We want to know one of your gods. That's where their perspective is. And a lot of them actually end up calling us back to say, hey, would you mind sending me more information about Jesus? Because what you said makes sense to me. We receive a lot of calls back, ask for prayers. And so we see that as a unique, great opportunity to share the gospel in a country in India. This is what your impact looked like from last year. Last year alone, all the teams, I mentioned 26 teams led by nationals, produced 2,444 productions. Later on, I will explain to you what a production looks like. Engaged 52, almost 53 million people, because the internet allows us to do that. Engaged 53 million people around the world. How we track? What do you mean by people engaged with their content? So if we put our every week service online on Facebook, you will notice how many people are watching it, how many people viewed this Sunday service. If you put it on YouTube, same thing. How many people viewed? Actually, when you go back in the background, you can tell where are they watching from, where are they watching from, and what their login emails or names, and actually give you a way to reach out to them. And they can leave a comment on your this week. The worship team did a great job. A comment like that, we can follow up with a message. So that's how many people we were able to engage in an online conversation. That's how we quantify engaged. And among all of those, 1,207 decided to take the next step with Jesus to get baptized. So that's on average 3 baptisms every day, just last year. A year ago, 2021, the number is a little bit higher than that. Actually, about 5 baptisms every day from 2021. 2022 is about 3 baptisms every day. Next one, I believe, is a video. Could you make sure the sound will work? Awesome, thanks. That's your impact through GNPI. I'm here this morning just to remind you that. Don't ever underestimate your mission giving to any of those 5 mission organizations you support. Never underestimate your prayers for us. Wherever I go, the first thing I ask to, how can I partner with GNPI? Just pray for us. Pray for us. Because your prayers is making a huge difference. Like what Timothy reported back, the reason why I can have a safe trip, that a month-long trip, is because people are praying for me. Jenny and I, we are on the road all the time. We're actually finishing a 3-week-long trip. And we're heading home this afternoon, going to Indianapolis, and then the next day we go back to Joplin, Missouri. We're on the road all the time. And we can have a safe trip every time when we go, is because we know people are praying for us. So thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your mission giving for us. It's a huge blessing, and is making a huge difference. Our productions, what quantifies as a GNPI production? Number one, like from 30 seconds long, we can post it on TikTok. Just to give you one example, Zach always preach a sermon, let's say 30 minutes, and then we can get those golden nuggets, maybe just 1 sentence or 2 sentences that he said really makes sense for people, and we can edit that out and post it on social media, because a lot of times that people the attention span is getting shorter and shorter, especially among young peoples. So that's why we actually post this video just for 30 seconds. Just try to get their attention. 30 seconds. And 3-minute video of a song, maybe a worship song that they produce in their own culture, in that language, that we praise Jesus, we post on social media to share gospel that way. Or a movie, 30 minutes long movie about a testimony of someone. So from 30 seconds on TikTok to 30 minutes a movie you can post on YouTube, anything in between. That's what GNPI produces, One of the movies that we did last year is called Where the River Divides. And I wish I could show the trailer, but it's not officially out yet. But this is a movie that we produced in partnership with CIY, Christ in Youth. How many of you have heard about CIY, Christ in Youth? Yeah, in Joplin, Missouri. They host high school students and middle school students conferences every summer. Every summer, they serve about 50 to 70,000 students around the country. And last year, GNPI was the mission that they promoted. So because of that, they partnered with us, produced a movie of our colleague, Dennis Okoth, his life testimony. Just give you a snapshot what this movie is about. That Dennis grew up in a tribe in Uganda, and the tribe worshiped different gods and witchcrafts, but somehow he found Jesus through a missionary. And that became a problem for his family, because all the villagers began to tell his dad, your son is going crazy. Your son became a black sheep of our tribe. You need to kill him. And his father, because of the pressure, because the belief that he had, wanted to kill him. That he tried many times to poison his own son, Dennis, because of his faith in Jesus. And that's when Dennis decided, I need to run away. I need to follow Jesus. I need to run away from all my families, all my relatives, everything I know of, because I want to pursue Jesus wholeheartedly. So that's this movie is all about. It was produced in Kenya last fall, I believe, and it's going to become a very powerful movie. We're going to show this movie in all the conferences this summer. So if you go to that conference, make sure to check this out. Also, we use Facebook a lot. And Instagram. A lot of them are not, sometimes we don't use video alone. We also have some print materials and also films and anything in between. But anything GNPI produces, is all about Jesus. And also culturally relevant. So just remember what GNPI is all about, what you are doing through GNPI. It's create culturally relevant media and share Jesus all around the world. One of the main projects our teams are doing right now is translate this 20 animated Bible stories into different languages. There is a strategy behind this called Amazing Stories. Those are 20 Bible stories, 20 animated Bible stories, 10 from the Old Testament, 10 from the New Testament. The stories that you and I know very well. For example, the story of Jonah, the runaway prophet, and the story of David and Goliath, the stories like that. But those stories were told from a first-person perspective. Those are not just narrations of the story, but the story was told from the first-person perspective. What do you mean by first-person perspective? Meaning, if I tell you the story of Jonah, and in the end you will realize I was there. I was the one throw Jonah off the boat, and eventually he got swallowed up by a whale. So that person was actually there, saw that event happen. So Amazing Stories is first strategy, number one. Number two, the targeted audience we had for this are the children in the Middle East. The children in the Middle East who have a Muslim background. We hired a team in Indonesia, and we just asked them to help us to produce this content animation. for two reasons. Number one, we couldn't afford to hire a team in the USA. That's going to cost a lot of money. Number two is they know the culture. Indonesia is one of the largest Muslim populated countries around the world. And, you will see some of the pictures. I encourage you to grab some brochures later. You never see Jesus' face in all the 20 stories. The reason is that in the Muslim culture, they regard Jesus as one of their prophets. And to show respect of their prophets, they never show the prophet's face to show respect. All the women in the pictures are with head coverings. That's made for the Muslim culture. And also, as I said, if you produced a Disney level production, people from different culture immediately know this is for the USA. So we don't want to do that. So those are the strategies, those are the things we think about when we produce something. Number one, we want to connect with the audience. That's why sometimes we don't produce USA level productions. That's on purpose. So right now, the teams are translating this into 9 different languages. The global gospel has been a very key project for the ministry since the 90s. And those are 107 stories of Jesus, the life of Christ, directly from the Bible, no human interpretation, just God's word. And those 107 stories are available in 44 different languages. And right now, who used this content the most in the USA is YouVersion Bible app. How many of you have YouVersion on your phone? YouVersion publish our Easter and Christmas Bible reading plans. Use that. And use all the different languages that we produced. And they have tons of, YouVersion have a lot of English content, but for other languages, they don't have enough partners. And we already have this project about the life of Christ in 44 different languages already. So this Easter, it's on your phone right now. If you search for GNPI, the Global Gospel Easter Reading Plan, you can find it. And this app has been downloaded everywhere around the world. Almost everyone has this app on their phones. So that's another way that God is using GNPI content to share the gospel around the world. The next one is called the Solar Kit. A lot of you remember the solar backpacks, right, in the past, but with the technology advanced, that the solar-powered projector are very, very small right now. I have one on my display table. Check it out. So people are actually taking them into remote villages, don't have electricity, but they were able to charge this projector during the day with sunlight. At night, they were able to show a gospel movie in a village. Several churches were built because of this. A missionary a missionary from Brazil who is working in the country of Madagascar started 2 churches because of a solar kit. So a church, nothing looked like this. A church actually built with straws has about 180 people every Sunday, just because they watched something through a solar kit in their village at night, and now every Sunday they worship Jesus. So that's incredible. This is a story that our team in Thailand produced. A lot of times when I make presentations, I always tell the story like how people's life was impacted after they watched the GNPI production. I can tell you tons of stories about that. But I never realized until last year that people who are involved with productions are also touched by the people of GNPI. So this young actress is from Thailand. We actually hired her to act out a real-life testimony of someone in Thailand who was struggling with drugs and later on became a Christian. And this lady had never heard about Jesus. but because of her, she become getting popular, getting noticed by a lot of film directors, and someone connected us with her. And so we hired her for this role, this leading role. In the whole process, she was memorizing the lines. She was familiarizing the storyline. And after the 1 week production, she said, well, the way that you guys treated me and also the story, I think I want to know more about Jesus. So I never realized until last year, along the way, the production of being done, people are being touched by our colleagues. Next one is Hindi Church Online, another story of a man in India. During COVID, our team helped a church in India move everything online, just like what we did. And this church used to have about 1,000 people in gathering on every Sunday. And when they tracked how many people are watching on Facebook, the number on average was 400,000 every Sunday. One of the men was impacted by one of the Sunday services, had a plan to kill his whole family because he was struggling with depression, a lot of things he was struggling. But just one message in his own language made sense to him. And he reached out to say, hey, this is what I plan to do, but your message actually changed me. Can I talk to you? One of the stories from Hindi Church Online. So alongside the production being made, people are being changed. People are being changed. How are we going to share Jesus in a bigger way? We want to train more people. We want to train more people, use media to share the gospel wherever they are. That's why we built an online training platform. It's called Nomad Academy, free for anybody around the world to enroll. And after taking those 70 lessons on how to produce a quality media about Jesus, where you share it, how to engage with people online, we want to have 100 graduates by 2025. That's how GNPI want to expand around the world. We want to have 100 teams established around the world. And some of you probably remember we launched a 100 Lights capital campaign that was for that. And this church actually gave a very generous gift. So very thankful for that. Right now we have 53 people, young people around the world actually are learning in this platform. And later on, those students, when they graduate, they will become the new teams of GNPI. Why we want to build more teams? It's never for our own glory. It's all because we want to share Jesus with more people. For the next 7 years, we want to share Jesus with 1 billion people. 1 billion people. So that's not a small number, but we have confidence to do this because we serve a big God. Also, He provides us media and technology, the tools that we can use to share the gospel with that many people. And how we want to do this is called Mission 15. We invite all of you to be a part of this. Pray for us. 15 minutes every month, 15 minutes every quarter or every year, whatever will fit your schedule. That's the number one thing we want to ask our partners to do. Just pray for us. It's a big task. We need all the prayers we can get. Financially, if you can give a gift of $15 to GNPI, great. As a first-time donor, $15. $1 you give to GNPI allows 43 people to hear the gospel. So you do the math, 15 times 43. Share 15 times with other people. Sharing the gospel is not only the missionary's job, it's our job too. Never underestimate the power of your own story to share with other people how you became a Christian. You know, it's not only, okay, we prayed for missionaries, we gave to missionary so they can share the gospel with the people, but the Great Commission also applies to you and I. It didn't say all the missionaries go and make disciples. It's you and I, all the followers of Jesus. So we want to encourage people to pray, to give, and also share your own story. That's how we want to reach 1 billion people. So I have shared a lot of information, and I have a table set up. I would love to talk to you more if you have any specific questions. And so GNPI, what we do is just creating media and sharing Jesus. Use the means that God had provided for us in this day and age. And a lot of people, a younger generation, they live there. That's where they gather. And I will end with this. You know, Francis Chan said, you don't need to be a good fisherman to know you go where the fish are, right? That's why we put the gospel content on social media. I know a lot of people have different opinions on social media. I get it. But we're also combating. It's our responsibility to combating all the misinformation, all the things that our kids should never see. That's our job, and that's what you are doing through GNPI. So I'm very thankful for you, very excited to be here to bring the message this morning. So if you have any questions, I will be, my wife and I will be in the lobby and would love to chat with you more. All right, thank you. Thank you all. Yep.